Yes. Hmm.
Good morning, Saranai Bhante.
Okay.
Good morning, Bhante.
Morning, Bhante.
Morning.
Good morning, Bhante ji. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
everybody.
Good morning.
No,
Nice
I
seeing
cannot hear them.
Tirvantaranai.
Good to see you, Bhante.
Nice to see you.
Bhante, you are looking really well.
Oh, you can see me.
Yes,
you
Bhante,
look
Yes.
well.
so
I'm
nice to
impressed.
see
You can
you.
see me.
You do.
Make one good number. Hurry. Okay. This is the first Dhamma talk in 2025.
Yes.
Sad, sad.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay. Today I am going to speak on very, very important discourse. I really don't know whether I will have enough time to explain all these things in this short period, but I'll try. Buddha said that this discourse you can find in Anguttara Nikaya, 6th, 6 of 6, that is called this one?
Yes.
This one? This one?
Yeah. We select and share.
Can you see that?
Yeah, they can see it.
Yes, Bhante, you can see.
This is, what is this? You
Keep
can,
it like- No, they can see this Bhante.
now, what is this part?
We keep it like that.
Okay. Now,
You can see.
you can see the discourse?
Yes,
Yes, we can.
Bhante.
Bhante.
Okay. Ah.
They can see this now.
Okay. Now, this discourse, you can see, Buddha said, because I will teach you apprenticeship exposition of the Dhamma, listen and attend closely, I will speak. The monk said, yes. Then Buddha gave the synopsis of it first. That is the Buddha style. First he gives gives the summary or sort of kind like a proposal of a dissertation. In this synopsis, he says sensual pleasures should be understood, source and origin of sensual pleasure should be understood, the diversity of sensual pleasure should be understood, the results of sensual pleasure should be understood, the cessation of sensual pleasure should be understood, the way leading to the cessation of sensual pleasure should be understood. And similar same things he repeated with regard to feeling, perception, change, and suffering. Now you may think when we say sensual pleasures, feeling, perception, it may recall the five aggregate, like form, feeling, perception, thought, and volitional formation and consciousness. But here, instead of volitional formations, Buddha used taints. Buddha used what you call sensual pleasures, feeling, perception, and taints, asava. And then last time you might expect to hear consciousness in five aggregates: form, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. But here, the fourth he replaced with taints and added another one called suffering. There is a difference. No, fifth is karma, sixth is suffering. Now, each of them should be understood, their sources should be understood, their diversity should be understood, their result should be understood, the cessation of them understood, and the way leading to cessation of them understood. Now let us see the details. And Buddha repeated this again. You can see this. When it was said, sensual pleasure should be understood, the source and origin of sensual pleasure should be understood, the diversity of sensual pleasure should be understood, the results of sensual pleasure should be understood, cessation of sensual pleasure should be understood, the way leading to cessation of sensual pleasures should be understood. Then Buddha asked, for what reason was this said? What is the reason? Then he himself answers his own question. When we say sensual pleasure should be understood, what is sensual pleasures? There the Buddha said there are bhikkhus, these five objects of sensual pleasures: forms cognizable by the eye that are wished for, itta, Pali itta, desired, kanta, agreeable, manapa, pleasing, piyarupa, connected with sensual pleasure, kamupa samhita, tantalizing, rajaniya. These are six qualities of the sensual pleasures. When we see an object, that object can be wished for, desired, agreeable, pleasing, connected with sensual pleasures and tantalizing. Similarly, sound, then odors, taste, tactile objects. These are the five objects of sensual pleasures. They all are wished for, desired, agreeable, pleasing, connected with sensual pleasures, tantalizing. And Buddha said these objects themselves, however, are not sensual pleasures. These are objects of sensual pleasures, but not the sensual pleasures themselves. And Buddha says, however, these are not sensual pleasures. In the Noble One's disciples, discipline, these are called object of sensual pleasures. The object of sensual pleasures and sensual pleasures are not the same. Object of sensual pleasures is one thing, sensual pleasures is another. So, is a very beautiful stanza I recited after that. Is that this is a very famous statement. Sankaprago purusasa kamo nete kamayanani chitrani loke. Sankarapo purusasa kamo chitan chitrani tater loke. Atetta dhira vinayanti chanda. The pretty things in the world are not sensual pleasures. A person's pleasure is lustful intention. Lustful intention is the pleasure. Pretty things remain just as they are in the world, but the wise removes the desire for them. You cannot do anything about the object in the world. Let them be there as they are. But you control your mind. You control your mind. Similarly, unpleasant objects are there. You cannot make them pleasant. They are unpleasant. Let them be there. But don't obsess your mind with aversion. Objects are sometimes not very clear, and you cannot make them unclear. Clear when they are, little confusing. But your mind you must keep your mind clear, not confused. So don't try to control the world. In other words, people try to control the world. But Buddha said, don't try to do that. You control yourself. World will go on as it is. So that is what is sensual pleasure with regard to sensual pleasures. And what because is the source and origin of sensual pleasures? Contact is the source and origin of sensual pleasure. Contact. Eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, tongue contact, body contact, and mind contact. When our senses contact with those external things, then pleasure arises. And then, what is the diversity of sensual pleasures? Again, sensual pleasures for form is one thing, sensual desire for sound is another, sensual desire for order is still another, sensual desire for taste is still another, and sensual desire for tactile is another. This is called diversity of sensual pleasures. Now, they are compartmentalized. They never mix together. Eye and ear are not interchangeable. The contact arising through the eye and ear are not interchangeable. And a pleasure arising through the eye cannot be exchanged with the pleasure arising through the ear. So they are separate. although they all are connected to our mind, but the senses remain individual with their individual identity. You cannot mix them together. And that is why it is called diversity of sensual pleasures. And what is the result? What is the result of sensual pleasures? One produces an individual existence that corresponds with whatever sense pleasures one desires, and which may be consequence either for merits or demerits. Now, according to the person's wish, suppose somebody experience sensual pleasures in a very mean way, and he is obsessed with sensual pleasures and experiencing sensual pleasures that way, then that person may commit a desire for taking rebirth in a very low place, low birth. If sensual pleasures is sometimes somebody enjoys in a gentleman way, sincere way, honest way, then that person's rebirth would be in a gentle, pleasant, noble way, place. And therefore, result of sensual pleasures produces corresponding with whatever sensual pleasures one desires. If one desires to be born in hell, the person will commit that kind of sensual pleasure, killing, stealing, committing sexual misconduct, and serial killers, criminals, and so forth. That's what they expect in their next life. Similarly, somebody enjoys sensual pleasures in a gentleman way, in a gentle way, practicing metta, karuna, mudita, and so forth. That person will have sensual pleasures in such a place. Okay. And with the cessation of contact, there is cessation of sensual pleasures. So, cessation of sensual pleasures, when contact ceases, sensual pleasure ceases. Eye contact, ear contact, and so forth. And then the way leading to the sensual pleasures is the same noble eightfold path. That is the way invariably put the mention to cease not only sensual pleasures for all our suffering. Noble eightfold path. How can we take only one of them? Right view. Right view, I understand it as right understanding. When you understand the true nature of these things, then we naturally form right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. All entails right understanding. When you understand rightly, everything follows naturally, until we gain right concentration. When we gain right concentration, what happened? When we gain right concentration, that is called samahita chitta. Buddha always says samahitam chittam yatha bhutam pajanati. Concentrated mind sees things as they are. Sees things as they are. And that is how all sensual pleasure ceases. So Buddha concluded that section saying that this is a very wonderful way. You will never forget it, the way Buddha taught the Dhamma. When bhikkhus and noble disciples thus understand the sensual pleasures, the source and origin of sensual pleasures, diversity of sensual pleasures, results of sensual pleasures, the cessation of sensual pleasures, and the way leading to cessation of sensual pleasures, he understands this penetrative spirit life to be cessation of sensual, to be the cessation of sensual pleasure. Now, this is very important thing. This holy life is nothing but the following the Noble Eightfold Path. Penetrative spiritual life to be the cessation of sensual pleasures. Holy life or spiritual life is the following Noble Eightfold Path. That is the way to cease our sensual pleasures. What is the wrong with the sensual pleasures? What is the wrong? Friends, at the end of this discourse, you can see the last section, which is the problem with the sensual pleasures. Let me continue, and then when we come to the last one, we can see what is wrong with the sensual pleasures. Then the second Buddha says, feeling should be understood, and as we mentioned earlier, the origins of sensual feeling should be understood, but diversity of feelings should be understood. Results of sensual pleasure should be understood. The cessation of sensual pleasure should be understood, and the way leading to the cessation of sensual pleasure should be understood. Now, there are because these three feelings, pleasant feeling, painful feeling, and neither painful nor pleasant feeling. That is very basic three feelings. What is the source and origin of sensual feelings? Origin of feelings. Contact. As I said, contact, eye contact, ear contact, and so forth. And then, what is the diversity of feelings? We must listen to it very carefully. There is worldly pleasant feeling, there is spiritual pleasant feeling. There is worldly painful feeling, there is spiritual painful feeling. There is a worldly neither painful nor pleasant feeling. There is spiritual neither painful nor pleasant feeling. This is called diversity of feelings. Now, what is the worldly pleasant feeling? The pleasant feeling that arises through our senses. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. As he mentioned, the objects are in the world, and by perceiving them, we experience a pleasant feeling. In that pleasant feeling, there is an underlying tendency called greed. So long as the pleasant feeling has underlying tendency of greed, that is worldly pleasant feeling. What is the spiritual pleasant feeling? A spiritual pleasant feeling is pleasant feeling without underlying tendency of greed. What is that? Seeing the truth. When you see the truth does not have desire as underlying tendency. For instance, everything we perceive through our senses is impermanent. Impermanent is not imposed upon anything by anybody. Impermanence is the intrinsic nature of all existing things. Everything in the universe is impermanent. And seeing that with wisdom, there arises pleasant feeling because the person sees the truth. And then there is a world, there is a spiritual painful feeling. You know, it's worldly painful feeling, you all know. It doesn't need any explanation. But what is the spiritual painful feeling? A spiritual painful feeling is that you are practicing, for instance, meditation, following all the instructions. You are consistent, you are sincere, you are dedicated, diligent, mindful, you practice, but you are still in the same place. You don't seem to make any progress. But your friends, Mr. X or Mrs. X, following the same instruction, has attained jhanas, attained stream entry. You are in the same place. And then you feel you have a spiritual painful feeling. Yes, painful feeling is not with regard to anything mundane, worldly. But if you want to liberate yourself from suffering, and your friend is already achieved, gained some results in the path, you have not. Then arises a spiritual painful feeling. What is this worldly, neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling? Well, you just like sour grapes, you try to gain something, then you give up and remain sort of indifferent. That is a worldly, neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. But what is the spiritual, neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling? That is everything you saw, heard, smelled, taste, and touch and thought in the past, all were impermanent, all were unsatisfactory, all without self. Whatever you perceive now through your senses this moment are all impermanent, unsatisfactory and selfless. Whatever you will in future experience through your senses be all impermanent, unsatisfactory and selfless. So you see everything is the same. You don't feel monotonous. Rather, you have a feeling that after all are impermanent, unsatisfactory, selfless. Then arises in your mind spiritual, neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. Now, these are the diversity of feelings. And the results of feeling, the same as produce an individual accession that corresponds with whatever feeling one experiences and which may be the consequence either merits or demerits. According to your feeling, you commit something. You feel good, you continue to do good, then it will produce the result corresponding to the to what you have committed according to your feeling. So all your activities converge in feelings, and therefore according to that feeling you commit something and you experience the results. Okay, then the cessation of feeling is the cessation of contact. As all you know, we explain independent origination, pasapatya vedana. You feel depending on your contact. Depending on contact, feeling arises. When contact ceases, feeling ceases. And the way leading to the association of that is the Noble Eightfold Path. And then Buddha concluded that section saying, when bhikkhus, noble disciples, thus understand the feeling, the source of and origin of feelings, the diversity of feelings, results of feeling, cessation of feelings, and the way leading to cessation of feeling, he understands this penetrative spiritual life to be the cessation of feeling. Penetrative spiritual life is brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means Noble Eightfold Path. And then a third is the perception. Perception. Also Buddha said there are 6 kinds of perception. What are the 6 kinds of perceptions? They are through the eyes, ears, nose. There will be Rupa Sanya, Saddha Sanya, Gandha Sanya, Rasa Sanya, Pottabha Sanya, Dhamma Sanya. Perception of forms, perception of sound, perception of odors, perception of taste, perception of tactile objects, perception of mental phenomena. These are the various type of perception. And this is diversity of the 6 kind of perception. And then, what is the source and origin of perception? Also again, contact. And what is the diversity of perception? Perception of form is one thing. Perception of sound is another. Perception of odor is another. Perception of taste is another. Perception of tactile object is another. Perception of mental phenomena is another. As we mentioned earlier, these perception also remain separate from each other. They never mixed up together. For instance, Rupa Sanya will never, perception of form will never mix up with perception of sound. These are different. They maintain their individuality, their identity. That is the diversity of perception. And then results of perception also, results of expression in whatever way one perceives something in just that way. The expression, one expression itself says, I was a recipient of such and such. It is very interesting. Buddha mentioned that Ohara vepakam beke sanyam vadami. When we use certain terms, that therefore the result, what you call results of perception depend on perception in whatever way one perceives something. And says, for instance, I see an object. It appears to be like a snake. Then my perception is like a snake perception. Then I call it a snake. I see a dog like a fox. I say that's a fox. That is my perception. So different individuals perceive things differently and they express their perception in words. So somebody appears to be very gentle to me. I call him a very gentle person. But that person appears to somebody else to be a very cruel person. That person may say, no, no, it is not gentle, he is not gentle, he is a cruel person, and so forth. So perception we express in that way. And then the cessation of perception also is the perception of contact, and the Noble Eightfold Path is the virtual cessation. So we go to the next one. As I said, I want to finish it quickly. 10th is asava. Asava, there are three types of asavas. 10th of sensuality, 10th of existence, and 10th of ignorance. That is in Pali, Kamasava, Bhavasava, Avijjasava. 10th of sensuality is called Kamasava. The 10th of existence is called Bhavasava. 10th of ignorance is called Avijjasava. 10th is influxes. We explained this in our previous talks last year. Asava is in Sanskrit called Asrava, Pali called Asava. That means you make certain thing very strong, certain medicine. For instance, or take for instance, you are very common with some kind of liquor, wine or beer or whiskey or whatever. You brew it for a long time, and then after brewing a long time, you take it and you get a kick. And that is called asava, that gives you boost very quickly, jump start. That is called asava. And we have brewed sensuality for a long time in samsara. We brewed the wish to existence in samsara, and we brewed ignorance in samsara. And therefore they are called asava taints. And then the diversity of asava is, there are taints that lead to hell, woeful state of existence. There are taints leading to animal realms. You develop the animal tendency in the mind, then you are preparing your way, the path to go to animal kingdom. There's a taint leading to the realm of afflicted spirits, Peta. And there are trains leading to the human world. You just want to be human and practice that, develop that trains, that also. And there are trains leading to the Deva world. That is called diversity. Then what is the results of trains? One immersed in ignorance produces a corresponding diversity, individual existence, which may be the consequence either merits or demerits. As I mentioned, according to our development of trains, we will take rebirth. And then number 5, karma. Karma should be understood. And here is the very famous statement. Many people quote it when they talk in this discourse called Nibbediga Pariyaya Sutta. Buddha said, Chetanaham bhikkhave kammang vadami. Chetitva kammang karoti kayena vachaya manasa. Volition, because that I call karma, for having willed, one acts by body, speech, or mind. And therefore, will is called karma. Volition is called karma. And I think many Buddhists who know a little bit of Pali quote this in their conversations. What is the source and origin of karma? Then again, contact. What is the diversity of karma? Okay, this also is important. Diversity of karma. There is a karma experience in hell. There is a karma to be experienced in animal realms. There is a karma experience to be in the afflicted spirits. There is karma experience in human world. There is karma experience in divine world as divine beings. So that is the diversity. Results of karma, there is a karma to be experienced in this very life. That's called Ditta Dhamma Vedaniya Karma. Ditta Dhamma, Ditteva Dhamme. Ditta Dhamma Vedaniya Karma. And, or to be experienced in the next rebirth. As we commit karma, according to that karma, we will take rebirth. And then karma experience to be some subsequent any time in samsaric existence. These are the 3 types of results of karma. Again, cessation of karma is cessation of the contact, and Noble Eightfold Path is the way. And then, as I mentioned, last one, I said the last one is the result, answer to my question. Previously I mentioned. Suffering should be understood. Source of suffering should be understood. Diversity of suffering should be understood. Results of suffering should be understood. Cessation of suffering should be understood. The way into the cessation of suffering. Suffering we have mentioned it many, many, many times. What is the suffering? Birth is suffering, old age is suffering, illness is suffering, death is suffering, sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and anguish is suffering. Not to get what one wants is suffering. In brief, 5 aggregates subject to clinging is suffering. This is the problem with sensual pleasures. I mentioned earlier, what is the problem with sensual pleasures? This is the problem in the five aggregates subject to suffering. And what is the source of suffering? Craving is the source of suffering. What is the diversity of suffering? There are four types. Extreme suffering, there is a slight suffering, there is suffering fades away slowly, there is suffering fades away quickly. So, then if you remember, if you want to remember in Pali, you may remember Pali word, Atipike Adimattam Parittam Danda Viragin Kippa Viragin. Some suffering is very, very severe. Some suffering is slightly, some suffering fades away slowly, some suffering fades away quickly. And cessation of suffering is the cessation of craving. In order to the path leading to cessation of suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path. This is a very, very wonderful discourse. The beginning of this year's talk, the discourse that we selected for this year is a wonderful discourse. I think I don't have any more time. Normally I give a half an hour talk today, since the discourse was very interesting, very long and beautiful, very meaningful. I took about 45 minutes. And we have only 15 minutes to meditate. Let me stop all this now, and we all stop practice meditation. Okay?
No. We need the
Uh, where is that? I see, I don't remember. On that one, there was meditation before. Okay. Anyway, you remember our instructions. Perhaps we don't have. Okay, we changed the computer, therefore this is missing. Maybe tomorrow we will find it. You can see my background also is different. I'm different. Everything is different. So anyway, let us do a meditation for at least for 15 minutes. Okay? By means of these meritorious deeds, may I never join with the foolish. May I join always with the wise until the time I attain Nibbana. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. From the highest realm of existence to the lowest, may all beings arisen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from all suffering and attain to perfect peace. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Today, friends, we had a very short meditation session. Maybe next week onward we can have our regular half an hour meditation at the end of the discourse. Now let me finish the session with my regular metta wish. Today we even could not start with metta, but let me finish my regular short metta wish. May all those who are in hospital suffering from various diseases taken care of by doctors, and may they recover very soon, return to their normal healthy life, practice Dhamma, practice meditation, and may they liberate from not only this kind of sickness, but entire suffering in existence in samsara. May all the doctors and nurses and hospital staffs who have been taking care of these people, taking some risk, risking their life, exposing themselves to various diseases, may they remain healthy to take care of these people. May they find time to practice Dhamma, meditation, and liberate themselves from samsaric suffering. May those who are in various trouble spots in the world, war zones, discrimination, poverty-stricken, and so on, may they also find time to understand the nature of life, practice Dhamma, practice meditation, and attain liberation from samsaric suffering. May all those who are grieving the passing away of their departed relatives, may they free from grief soon and understand the nature of Dhamma, nature of life, and practice meditation and attain liberation from samsaric suffering. May everyone in the northern direction, northeastern direction, eastern direction, southeastern direction, southern direction, southwestern direction, western direction, northwestern direction, up and below us, all of them in all 10 directions, be well, happy, and peaceful. May they all one day, not all at the same time, but according to their own development, practice, karma, all of them attain liberation from samsaric suffering. Thank you, friends. This is the end of today's session. And tomorrow we take.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Thank you,
sadhu.
Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Tomorrow we will.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante Thiruvan Sarai.
Everyone,
Everyone saranai.
Everyone,
Tomorrow
Saranai
we will
Bhante.
have our
Saranai Bhante.
regular.
Thank you, Bhante. Tirvan Saranai. Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Very happy see you,
Thiruvan
Bhante.
Saranai.
Happy to see you.
Thank you,